on this camera. Let me see something. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. I don't know why I'm so distorted on my other platform. I'm a little distorted. But anyways, how's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. Everybody's doing well today. Chiming in a little bit late. I was like, I can't remember if I said 6 o'clock or 6:30. Yeah, I don't remember. But anyways, here I am. I'm here, and I want to talk to you about the project that I've been working on, Keeping Black Survivors Alive, which is the project that I was working on when I was shot. And so, picking back up with my contract, we have our presentation September 11th. We have the first presentation on September 11th. Then we have another presentation on September the 13th. And what this presentation is, it is the findings of the leaders that work with women of color that are in domestic violence and sexual assault. And so it is our findings on after speaking with organizational head CEOs, other women of color who actually are not just CEOs or, but they're actually women with lived experience. And when I say this is the real deal, this group of women have been through hell and back and did not forget about their community. They actually came and turned their stories into successful organizations. And then the Massachusetts Women of Color Network, what they did is they actually came together. And it's about 6 organizations run by women of color in the Massachusetts area. And we provide services for women who are coming out of domestic violence and sexual assault. We have um, also a sister on here that we have a sister on here that also takes care of the LGBTQ community and the transgender community, African American community, where they are too at risk of being murdered. And so, there's a lot going on in our community. There's a lot of things that are going on that nobody likes to talk about. I don't want to come on and say the same things over and over again, but I don't really have that many followers. So, I'm not going to move forward kind of, to the next phase until, we have some more people that are actually getting engaged with what it is that I'm doing and who it is that I am. So, for those that do not know me, my name is Arike. I am a community restoration and purification specialist. I've been in the community mentoring young women in the community for now 3 decades. I am what you call an unsung hero. I am one of those the sisters in the community that lost my mother at a very young age. And I was the black sheep of my family. And so nobody came in to help me get out of all of the darkness and the things that I found myself in. I was in addiction. I was alcoholic for years, functional alcoholic though, so you couldn't tell me nothing. Domestic violence, sexual assault, childhood sexual assault. I've been through it all. And the only advocate, the only warrior that I really had in my circle was my birth mother. And at the age of 2021, at 7 months pregnant, I lost my mother to colon cancer. And since then, December 15th, 1995, I did not have another woman of color to come and speak life to me. I had to figure it all out myself. I had to know that I was not going to stay a statistic, that I did not come from a background of folks that were on welfare or people that had lived, in the projects or anything like that. Not that there's nothing wrong with that. Let me shut this. I have family members that did, but that's not me. I grew up in the valley with all the white folks, and that had its own level of trauma and things you had to deal with, especially back then. I was born in 68, so especially back then, we were still dealing with a lot of racism and systematic racism, and a lot of adults that, we put our children in the care of these adults that don't look like us, that don't really, know anything about our households or what we're enduring as people of color. And, back then you had a lot of racist, prejudiced adults. And here we are handing our children, me, off to these people that don't look like us, that don't teach us nothing. And, it was difficult. It was hard. They put a lot of, did a lot of damage. They did a lot of damage to me. I thought I was stupid for the longest time. They the way that they treated me, they treated the other children was very apparent. It was very obvious. Racism. I tell people my first day of school. My first day of school, my first experience. I'm the baby of the family. I have two older brothers. And, I watched them go get their little backpacks and get on the school bus and would cry because I wanted to go when I was told that I couldn't go. And I remember the year that I finally was getting my uniform because we went to a private Catholic school. And it was finally time for me to get my little dress and my little backpack. And, I was all excited. And I go to the bus stop and I'm with my brothers. And I get on the bus and I wave bye to my mom. Bye, mom. Bye. Get on the bus and the bus is riding. And within 15, 20 minutes, I'm getting attacked. And that happened every day for I don't even know how long it happened. It happened every day. Those white girls, and I still remember your name, Melissa and Jody. Okay, though they were the lead ringers. Um, However you want to call the leader, whatever you call that thing. Anyways, they were the leaders of the so-called little gang, and I remember looking at my brothers like, why y'all not helping me? And I understand now. I didn't understand then. And then one day we were walking home and coming home, and my brother said, "You know what, Shelly? Tomorrow when we go to get on that bus, if you let them girls whoop you again, we are gonna whoop on you. And then if you tell dad and we get whooped, we're gonna whoop you again. But you're not gonna get on that bus and let them and just sit there and cry. You better do something about it." I'm in the first grade, y'all. So I get on the bus that next day, and honey, they came for me. And I don't know what I did, but I just remember balling up my fists and just swinging and going for broke, screaming and crying and just throwing punches. And all of a sudden, for the first time, you heard the bus. What the hell is going on? The bus driver done pulled over, bringing her chubby self down the aisle, grabs me and yanks me down the length of the bus and throws me in the front seat and tells me, "You're going to get in trouble when I get you to the school." Of course, that's right, JoJo. And so I was like, oh, so we get to the school. And it's this long hill. It's funny because I look at the hill now and it's really not that long, but to a little girl that's got legs that this big, that it seemed like a very long hill. And she dragged me up the hill and she put me into the principal's office with the nurses, the nuns, and said that I was disrupting and I was beating up the kids and all of this. And that was my first real experience of racism. That was my first real experience of realizing that adults were racist. And it didn't matter if I was a child. It didn't matter. So, growing up in this town, A lot of people, of course, I had white friends, and when they see me online now and they see who I am and what I talk about, they're like, oh my God. And some of them feel like, you're so racist. We were so kind to you. Yeah. Yeah, you might have been kind to me. But do you remember when I was coming home from school in the fourth grade and the security, the crosswalk guard, her and her husband waited for me and they ambushed me and began to beat me up? Y'all remember that? The things that I had to endure in this town every time that we supposedly read our history. And they had the word nigga in our history books. And so whenever that word came up, my teacher would always make sure that I was the person reading it in the class. And I don't know if she did that because she felt uncomfortable having the white children say the word nigga, or if just because she wanted me to read the word nigga because I was the only Black person in the classroom. But needless to say, that was my experience growing up in the school systems out here in the Valley, where, yes, we have some of the better schools, yes, indeed, education wise, but what does it matter if they're tearing down our children? And guess what? That has not stopped. It was intentional. And guess what? It has not stopped. Now they use these scores, right? These scores to say whether or not our children are too hyper or, need to go into the special class. But if you look at the statistics in the schools, okay, all across America, if you look at the statistics in the schools, those that are being policed, and we already know about the preschool to prison pipeline is very, very real. And they start as early as kindergarten and preschool. Something's wrong with your child. Something's wrong with your child. My cousin is a therapist. And, I was just on with her and she was talking about, the youngest person that she's seen is 4 years old. You're bringing your child to a therapist at 4 years old. I mean, what's going on? Especially those people of color. So, it has not stopped. I look at these young kids and they're talking about their hair and having to cut their hair off. And you know what? I went through the same thing when I was 16 years old and had my first job out here. And no, y'all old enough to remember uh, the the um, the braids with all the beads, the singles and all the beads, like the Rick James type of era. The Venus and Serena, like everybody had the beads in their hair. And I got my first job, and we paid about $300 for me to go and get my hair professionally done because neither I nor my mother braided. And I went to work at the grocery store as a cashier, and got called up into the office by these huge, guys, the managers, and was berated because of my hair was a distraction, and that they told me I need to go home and take my hair out. And so I went crying home because I was very upset, and my mother politely walked back down there, marched herself up into the manager's office and let them know she will not, and we will not. And I dare you to fire her behind this. See, back then had we had still community, whereas if you did something to one, the community was coming out. Back then we still had, the Black Panthers, some of the leftover remnants of the Black Panthers and in the NAACP and the civil rights people, where we would still actually come together and do some things. We don't seem to have that anymore in this community. So anyway, they didn't want the smoke. So they didn't fire me, but they put me in the freezer, knowing I was going to quit. Don't nobody want to have time to be working in the freezer, especially if y'all know me, I can't stand being cold. So, they were slick about it. And of course, I end up having to quit. But all these things that I'm talking about, I'm 56, and these things our children are still dealing with. So while we're talking about voting, and while we're talking about being so excited about this voting and all this other stuff that's going on, because somebody who is mixed race is running, um, until we start talking about the real issues in our community, until we start funding organizations like mine, like the Massachusetts Women of Color Network, like the other organizations that are actually run by people of color, for people of color, and we're creating our own curriculums for people of color. But yet, if I tell you right now, our organization, the organization I work with, hasn't been paid yet. They have not been paid yet. I've been working and I've seen organizations that don't do anything for our community, and yet they have millions of dollars in their account. Here's an organization that is solely about women of color, for women of color, and they're struggling financially. And it always seems to be the ones of us that are really doing the groundwork, that are doing the work that is not so embraced in Western culture. Keep your books. We have our own. We can create our own. I know in my organization, we actually have the girls, the young women, write books. We have them write books. We're creating our books. We have one out right now, So You Think You're Grown. I hate it when adults said that. It's been published since 2020. My curriculum, 5S's and a C, that's me, Women's Development and Training Program, has been around for over 2 decades. And I have success in what I've done with it. It's just not been on a major platform. People don't know about me because but that's okay. The young women that come into my life and get to know me, we have longevity. And so, I'm not looking, and I've never asked anybody, for permission. And this is what I try to come and say. I'm not just talking. I don't want to talk. I live this. Everything that I talk about, I live, and that's why I'm not that consistent on here. I'm trying to be more consistent on here so people can know who I am and the things that I'm doing and the people that I roll with and the sisters that I roll with and the things that we're doing, because we are really truly about solutions over here. But it's hard because we up against, come on now, when we're out going up for those grants and we're saying we're only helping Black women, we're only helping our sisters, there. But my thing is, we shouldn't have to keep asking other people. If we was out here doing the foolishness, I bet you we'd have money. If we was out here playing the game, we would have money. But nobody's trying to play the game. We talking about some serious healing over here, about getting down to the nitty gritty, about not using everything that they say, coming away from the being decolonized. Understand that we have our own forefathers, that we have our own ancestors to look at. And our ancestors, in the midst of all types of hell, were able to build Black Wall Street over and over, not just in one place, not just in one region. Yes, they came and they burnt it down. Yes, they came and they flooded. Yes, they came and dropped bombs every time we erected something. But why do we allow them to continue to brainwash us to look at their forefathers, George Washington, Columbus, and Lincoln, and all this other crap, so that we're not looking at how did they do it? How in the midst of where if you walked down the street the wrong way, they could still hang you or throw you in prison. In all the aggressiveness, in all of the horrors that they were still able to face and endure, they built it. And now think about when they did build it, we were not all separate. We were not all one. We did not have the same beliefs. Go back and look at the films on YouTube. Go back and look at the films with Malcolm and Martin and Marcus Garvey, and go back and look at when we had real leadership and listen to what they were asking for. And then you tell me, come out of the delusion of inclusion and tell me where the hell we have really gone to. Because we're asking for the same things. If you close your eyes and listen, you would think that we were in the same place in the same time. But here it is, 50 something years, 56 years later to be exact. So we as a people have got to come out of the illusion. We as a people need to come and heal. And we as a people need to understand how to support one another. How do you really support one another? And how can we support one another so that we can move to a place of freedom? Because I will tell you, we are not free, and we have never been free. The American dream was an illusion. It was never our ancestors' dream. Our ancestors' dream was to go back to true freedom, which means we governed ourselves. We come from tribes that had kings and queens in them, tribes that had their own way of doing things, our own culture, our own moral standard, the way that we do things. And we threw all of that away, and we allowed them to tell us that we should never look back at any of that. And we allowed them to tell us that our ancestors are evil. We allowed them to tell us that anything that came from our ancestors, the blood that's in your veins, from your great great grandma, because it wasn't that far ago. For me, it was my grandmother. And my grandmother's was a slave when she was growing up. So it's not that far ago, boo. It's not that long ago. It's not that many generations. It's not like we've been 20, 30, 40, 50 generations away. And we've only been a few generations away. And if you really think about it, how far have we progressed? But yet we don't yet have a law to protect us in this country. So it comes back to stop asking for permission to know who you are. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have a lot of people. Just get out and do what you know you're supposed to be doing. Be the light. Get out there and be the light. And being the light doesn't mean that you have to knock somebody else on the head because they're not in your particular tribe. When we come to understand that we were never monolithic, when we come to understand that there are many tribes today in Africa, today in America, Native Americans, today there's many tribes. It is a distraction. Those people that think that they're so religious that they got to attack somebody else. If you're not under my mindset, baby, your rules don't apply to me if I'm not in your tribe. If you're from one tribe, the Igbo tribe in Nigeria, and I'm Yoruba, how are you going to try to bring your Yoruba beliefs on me when I'm Yoruba, right? They don't do that. But only in America do we turn around and say, hey, if you're not this, then you're the devil. Hey, if you're not this, if you're not just like me, and that is a Western colonization mindset. That is a Western colonization mindset. Because if you knew who you were, you would understand that we come from different tribes. And if you did any history, any history about yourself and try to go back and find the blood that's in your veins and go from there instead of guessing. You know what? I got tired of wearing titles. I got tired of wearing all the Christian titles, from apostolic to Pentecostal to Baptist to Kojic to you name it, like all these different titles, all within the same sect. Did it all, been there, right? Like all these different titles, all these different sects. It drives me crazy, y'all. It drives me crazy because we are the only ones that disrespect each other in such a manner to not be able to turn around and say, you know what, she's just from a different tribe, but let me look at her character. Let me look at her character. Let me look at his character. Because there's one spirit of righteousness. The spirit of true love is not bipolar. They don't have all these different things. Either, no matter what sect you're in, Muslim, Moorish, Hebrew, Christian, whatever sect you're in, there's a higher standard. There's a higher degree that you're called to. You're called to not join the world. You're called to not be a part of the world. You're called to be on a higher moral standing, a higher moral ground than those that are in the world. So if you're actually taking your time to do your purifications, and instead of guessing, that's why I was saying I was tired of guessing, tired of wearing labels, until finally I said, let me do my DNA and let me find out the blood that's in my veins so I can stop wearing labels that don't belong to me. So I can stop doing things that are not actually working for my good, but working against me, because I don't know who I am. And so I did the deep dive in 2019 and found out that I was 98% Yoruba. So it gives me a reference point now of somewhere where I can start the decolonization, somewhere I can go and now and sit with the people and find out about my elders and how my tribe conducted themselves. And you'll find that there are many. You'll find that there are many different variations within inside. Some, some that protect traditions and some that are out there just selling and showing everybody everything, don't care, about the color or whatever. And I often ask myself, how does that work? How do you teach a colonizer about your African traditions and with the deities and the spirits? I'm like, I don't understand how that works. How is a European person talking to an African deity, knowing what our ancestors went through? So it's foolishness. Some people just, like I said, you can find swindlers in every sect. So it's really about your character, not what you call yourself. And those that have taken the time to do the purification, those that have taken the time to whatever book that you're reading to actually align yourself to that book instead of regurgitating stuff that you heard. For those that have literally separated themselves from all the noise and said, hey, listen, I know that there's some guys that are there for me. I know that you assigned somebody for me, whether you call it a guardian angel, ancestor, spirit, whatever, assigned to me to help me maneuver through this world matrix that you told us not to be a part of. But when you look up, you see so many people with titles all entangled with the world. They know about all the gossip. They know about all the latest dances. They know about all these things. And, I don't want to say the latest dances, but they're just so much caught up in the world. They're more caught up in the world than they are their spiritual pathway in their journey. And this is why we have gotten nowhere fast, because we're overlooking the most important part of who we are, and that is our spiritual side. Because regardless of what you claim, As a person of color, you best know who you are spiritually. And so this is why I'm calling for a healing. This is why all I talk about is healing. And all the work that I do is pertains to healing our community. Everything that I do comes back to healing and solutions. And so I'm actually going to be putting my webpage out. I'm not technically inclined, but I do the best that I can. And I finally got tired of paying people and couldn't get the vision together. And I taught myself how to do it. So I'm going to sending out by the end of next week. It'll be done. Just got to make sure some background things work. On there, you'll see come November, I have a accountability journal called No More False Starts, and it takes you through 90 days to get something done. So if you think about it, although I do not celebrate the New Year's in January, the majority of the people in the Matrix do. So I say, you know what, for those that, hey, why wait till January 1st? Be ready for January 1st. How about getting your bread on January 1st and walking into 2025, the American 2025, already set with a strategic game plan, So women have created their prayer journals using my 90-day accountability. They have done written books in 90 days. They have gone on fitness, because I don't tell you what to do within those 90 days. But what it does, the first thing we do is we have an accountability call so that I get to know who you are and you get to tell me what it is that you want to accomplish in those 90 days. So now I hold you and you got that accountability. You get the book, you start going through the book. The first part of the book is going to teach you about SMART goals for those that are not familiar with SMART goals. It will take you through a training on SMART goals. It will take you through a training on how to use the journal at the nighttime and also in the morning time. And then every 2 weeks, it's already written in the journal for a accountability call where everybody comes online on Zoom. And the questions that I'm going to ask you are right there in your journal. So that, and when we just keep going just like that until the end. And at the end, you will have something that you can use to help you, earn income. Because that's another thing. Everything that I do is about also not just the training, but then also how do you put money in your pocket? How can we turn this into workforce development where now you are actually earning income? So that is the journal. That will be starting November the 1st. And everything I have right now, everything is on special right now till the end of the year. So I think that program is normally $375. And I think that's going for not even a fraction of that. Because it has a lot of training and it has the 8 or 9 sessions with me in there. So that's very cheap because my going rate is $150 an hour. So to have 9 sessions with me at under that is, a very good deal. And then in January for 2025, I'm looking to take 100 women through my mentoring program. Okay. And at the end of the mentoring program, you will be able to have a kit and go be equipped to go and get contracts throughout the city to bring how we mentor back into the community. You can also help by joining my affiliate team. So if you don't want to participate in any of the groups that I have, but you believe in what I'm doing and you see what I'm doing once I launch, and you want to earn some income with me, feel free that you can come in and you can sell. And you can sell and you get commissions off of anything that you sell for me. Now, if you're an alumni, now you can earn up to 40%. If you're not an alumni, you can earn 10%. And that's not bad for just putting the link out there on your page and knowing that you're doing something that's really actually giving back to the women in our community. And yeah, so I hope everybody just, yeah, enjoys the rest of the evening. I'm going to log off now. Let's see, how long have I been on? About 30 something minutes, I suppose. So, yeah, 35 minutes. So that's it. I don't really have anything else to say for tonight. We're down to 26 days before my surgery. I finally did get my room together. I finally got my room together. I moved my office into my room because I will be down for 3 months and I won't be able to really get around too much, but I don't want to be confined to my bed for 3 months. That is not good. That's not good for your health. It's not good for your mental health. And so, although I won't really be able to go outside, or because they're putting my intestines back together again, so I'm not going to have control over my intestines for a while. So, your girl's going to be in diapers, okay? And so, I just don't want to be stuck in the bed. And so I moved my office space into my room so I can come, a couple of steps over and just kind of change my environment. Um, yeah, kind of trying to change my environment so that I'm not stuck in that bed, because I'll tell you, it's not good mentally. It's not good mentally to be confined to a bed for 2 months. So, yeah, that's about it. I got my sound bowls. Oh, sorry. Y'all don't see my bag. I showed my sister my bag the other day. She was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that you had that." I'm like, "Well, what the heck you thought?" I don't know. I guess people don't really know what a colostomy bag is. Some people. And so I guess I just didn't realize that. But yeah, I got a bag on my side. Yeah. And that's how I go to the bathroom until 26 days. And then I will go into the hospital and they will take this bag off my side and they will put my intestines back together again, my transverse colon back together again. And we pray that everything goes, that they can stretch, that everything fits back right. Because if everything doesn't fit back right, then they got to do some other maneuvering and sew me from one end to the other. But basically, if that happens, it means I have no leeway. When I have to go to the bathroom, I got to go right then and there. There's no holding it, because normally your transverse colon, it goes, it has quite a ways to get before it gets to the anus where it comes out. And so if my transverse colon, if they can't put it back together because they can't stretch it, if it just doesn't fit, then they got to take from the very bottom where the anus is and put it up. So that means they're cutting all the rest of that colon away. So if that makes sense. They're cutting the rest of the colon away. Let me see if I can draw a picture for y'all. Let me see. Let's see. Okay. So okay. So here I am. Right now, my intestines are disconnected, right? They're disconnected. So what they're going to do is they're going to go back in and they're going to reconnect like that. But if for whatever reason, this side and this side it's not long enough, they're going to come from the bottom part of the rectum and they're going to pull it up here. Okay. Which means all of this other part of the rectum, they're going to cut away. So that very end, they'll lift up and they'll put over here. so that I can close, which means all that extra time that you had when you got to go to the bathroom and you're holding, I won't have. It was just, it's from, you got to go, it's right there, if that makes sense. So, yeah, so we're hoping that everything, we're hoping that everything, fits. Oh, I'm sorry. My other platform. Oh, you can't see it anyways because I don't know why it's, yeah, I don't know why I'm on two platforms. I don't know why this is so foggy. I might have a filter on here. I'm not sure, but I was showing that here and here is going to be connected. And if not, they're going to take it from down here and put it up here, which means I don't have this in between time to hold the bathroom. So that's not going to be fun. So we're praying that they just have, everything falls back into place the way it needs to fall back into place, and that we heal. As y'all know, I told you the other day, I'll have a hole in my side. They are not going to sew me up. They're going to leave the hole in my side. So right now I have, it's like this big. The hole in my side is about this big. And my intestines pops out of it. So it's about this big and my intestines pops out of it like that. And so yeah, so when they poke it all back together again, yeah, we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it. I just don't understand. I'm like, I don't really looking forward to having to pack and unpack. I'm not really looking forward to that. But I didn't think that I could take care of the bag. I didn't. And let me show y'all. I'm not gonna show you my stomach, but I'm gonna go get, and don't judge me when y'all see how I'm dressed. I didn't get dressed today. But I'm gonna get you some stuff and show you. All right. Let me get my little bag. I actually need to change it. Okay. This is my little carry-on bag when I'm gone somewhere, if I need to change it. So this is what I have to do, y'all. So I have my unit. I actually need to change it. And here's the bag that I go to the bathroom in. So I have my little trash bag. So we put it in here when we're done. And so the first thing that I do is I take my piece here and I cut and I pull this out. So now I have to take this piece here. And you see on the back it has measurements. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to start cutting around to where I know my stoma, the size of my hole is. I'm a pro at this now. So there's my little hole. Okay. So then what I do is I come over here and I grab my good wipes. And next thing I do is I cut my good wipes. I cut my good wipes into 4. Like that. Like that there. Then I pull this little bad boy up. And I gotta take these off so I can see. Whoa. And I pull this thing down. Ugh. And I take that unit off. And I put it up. Whew, it stinks, y'all. I mean, it smells pretty bad. Then I gotta wipe all the poop. And clean it. So, just like that, like so. Get her nice and clean. She's nice and clean now. Okay, disclaimer. I'm going to show you my stoma. Disclaimer. If you do not want to see it, you might want to turn your head right now, okay? So that people understand what exactly it is. I'm going to show you now that I'm all clean. Okay, disclaimer. I'm going to show you my stoma. Okay, disclaimer. I'm going to show you my stoma and how I put my unit on. I'm going to make sure it's clean one more time though. Disclaimer, I'm about to show you my unit. Disclaimer, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you what it looks like. Disclaimer. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go, y'all. There it is. So that's what it looks like. And so then I take this and I put it on here to make sure my measurement is right. Put my bag. Secure that. And then we're going to put the bag back on, and that is how I go to the bathroom. So in 26 days, what they're going to do is they're going to put this back in and they're going to reattach me. And so if you see, this is where I was shot. So you see the scars, but this is where I was shot twice. Right here in the stomach area is where he shot me. And so you see the scars and stuff. So yeah, he took out my transverse colon. So I'm gonna put this on now. And my skin is so, I mean, you think about doing adhesive for almost a year. My skin is so, oh, It's my poor baby, and I can't really do nothing, with it because I can't, put my castor oil on because it won't stick. So then there you go, like this, like that. You go like this, like that. And I have absolutely no control over when I go to the bathroom. I have no warning. I could be sitting in the store and just moving my bowels right in your face. And you won't know, but I know, you know. Um, it also passes gas. And I was like, no, when I found out that it passes gas. Let me go wash my hands. I could not believe it. I was like, no, and I have no control. So there's no control, there's no warning. The only difference is because it's a bag, there's no smell to it. But she make a lot of daggone noise sometimes. And when I was riding to New York for my retreat, I was a little tired, so I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna get some coffee because guess what? I ain't gonna worry about stopping going to the bathroom. Right? I can drink a big thing of coffee. I ain't gonna worry about going to the bathroom." I drank that thing, drove to New York. We got in the healing circle later on that evening. All the lactose, intolerance kicked in, and this bag was making the loudest noises. For like 15 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so like, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So, this has been my life for almost a year. I'm very thankful that in 26 days, I'll be going to get this reversed. And yeah, they'll leave that hole in my side. So, anyways, y'all, I'm gonna go wash my hands and throw this bag away. Thank you for spending some time with me. I'm going to try to get on here and dance sometime soon. I know I'm missing my days. I just like it's been so nice these last couple of days, and I've been in the house trying to get my room together and everything. And I'm like, you need to go outside, Shell, because in 26 days, you're done. You're done for the winter. And so go enjoy the last couple of days of spring that you can. But I got so much work to do. I got clients, I got the presentation coming up. Okay. So if you haven't seen, go look on my page. The Keeping Black Survivors, a live presentation is coming up. You can sign up for it. It's a free webinar. Find out the day that it's for the public and sign up, support us, come see what it is that we're doing out here in Massachusetts. We're keeping Black people alive, Black women alive, and how we are coming together as an organization and organizations run by sisters and that are coming together. And it's a beautiful organization. They've had my back, my front, my side since this has happened to me. Out of all the people I'm home. A lot of the ladies and people that I helped out are in California and different places, not really in my home state anymore. I've been gone for 24 years. But I'll tell you, if it wasn't for this organization, I don't know where I would be mentally, physically, whatever, So they're a great organization. They're a great set of women, and they deserve all the funding because they're really doing the work. And the other organizations that are here, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that I know this organization. I know their work. I know their heart. And I can speak from experience that they are dead serious. And when it's just, I just fit, I just fit. All right, y'all. You know what I always say? Number one, we don't need permission to heal. All we need is respect for one another's differences. We need to stop paying attention to what makes us different and realize we have more things in common. And for those that are spiritual. Time to get ourselves together. And it's time for a peace treaty for those that know better to come together so we can hug it out, so that we can heal and give each other permission to heal, so that we can move forward and we can reclaim our true identity as leaders and rulers in this world, and not just consumers or people that you can dangle things in front of for a vote. It's time for us to have our own seat at the table. Africa unite. From my heart to yours. One love. Choose love. I love you. Have a good night.